The first property states that opposite angles are supplementary, or they add up to 180. Hi everybody, welcome back to class with Miss Pugh. Today we are going to learn about the first property of cyclic quadrilaterals. The first property states that opposite angles are supplementary. Therefore, angle A plus angle C would have to equal 180, and angle B plus angle D would have to equal 180. Therefore, if angle A equals 60, then angle C would have to equal 120, because 60 plus 120 would equal to 180, which follows the property. Also, if angle B is 110, the angle D would have to be 70, because 110 plus 70 would equal to 180, which also follows the property. And angle B and angle D are opposite angles, and angle A and angle C are opposite angles. Property number 2 states that in a cyclic quadrilateral, exterior angle is equal to the interior opposite angle. Therefore, angle A will be congruent to angle E. This is because angle E's interior opposite angle would be angle A. Therefore, if angle A is 60 degrees, then angle E would also have to be 60 degrees. So, yeah. Property number 3 states that in a cyclic quadrilateral, the product of the diagonals is equal to the sum of the products of its two pairs of opposite sides. So an example of property number 3 of cyclic quadrilaterals is this problem right here. So in this quadrilateral we know that QS and PR are diagonals, so QS and PR, and we also know that PQ and RS are opposite sides. So according to the property, if we add the product of those to the product of the other opposite sides, which are QR and PS, then we get that equals to the product of the diagonals. And since the diagonals are QS and PR, the equation would be open quantity PQ times RS closed quantity plus open quantity QR times PS closed quantity equals to PR times QS. And this is because the sum of the products of its two opposite sides is equal to the product of its diagonals. So for the first practice problem, we have a cyclic quadrilateral, and we have that the measure of angle A equals to 89 degrees, and we want to find the measure of angle B and angle E. So how would you do that? So you would do this by, we know that opposite angles are supplementary, therefore we know the measure of angle B equals to 180 minus the measure of angle A, which would be 89. We have angle A and angle B are opposite angles. So therefore angle B would equal to 91 degrees. So now we know the measure of angle B. Now to find the measure of angle E, we know from one of our properties that the opposite exterior angle is congruent to the opposite interior angle. So therefore angle E would just be whatever angle A is, which is 89. So angle E would therefore be equal to 89 degrees. So for practice problem number 2, we have a cyclic quadrilateral. And we also have that QP is 8, QR is 10, RS is 7, and PS is also 7 for the side lengths. So in this equation, we want to find PR. Oh, also we know that QS is 9, so we want to find PR. And to do this, remember in the previous formula, we do the sum of the product of its opposite sides. So we have to do opposite sides, which are QP and RS. So we do 8 times 7 plus 7 times 10 because QR and PS are opposite sides, and that equals the product of the diagonals. So that would be 9 times PR. So those are the diagonals. And we just solve this equation to find PR. And ultimately when we solved this, we got PR equals to 14. So another example here is this cyclic quadrilateral. So we have that these sides are 7.5 and that these sides are both 3. We have that this diagonal right here is 9, and we have that this diagonal right here is x. So we want to try to find x in this situation. So remember, in a cyclic quadrilateral, we know that the sum of the product of the two opposite sides are equal to the product of the diagonals. So therefore, the opposite sides, which would be this and this, so it would be 3 times 3 in parentheses, plus the other pair of opposite sides, which would be this and this, so it would be 3 times 3 in parentheses plus 7.5 times 7.5 in parentheses equals to the product of the diagonals, which would be x, which is one diagonal, and 9, which would be the other diagonal. And we would just solve for x, because we know that this is 9, we know that this is 56.25. So when we add that up, we get 65.25, and we just have to divide that by 9 to get what x is. And ultimately we get that x is equal to 7.25.
Nice to meet you where you've been. I could show you incredible things. Magic in the form of math. Yeah, let's do some learning. Cyclic quadrilaterals are fun, so let's get started. Grab your notebook and a pen. I can make these theorems fun in a second. When you have a quadrilateral, its opposite angles add up to 180. The exterior angles are equal to its opposite interior angles. The sum of the products of two pairs of opposite sides are equal to the product of its diagonals. And now let's sing it again. You have a quadrilateral. Its opposite angles add up to 180. The exterior angles are equal to its opposite interior angles. The sum of the products of two pairs of opposite sides are equal to the product of its diagonals. And now you know it all.